Steve Kennedy is giving two presentations this afternoon, and
don't touch the laptop,
in line with his track record of being the most frequent UK North presenter. First thing Steve's going to talk about is some recent changes in emergency service telecoms regulations and how that relates to doing 999 service over VoIP.
Hello. I was going to talk about VoIP emergency services only, but there's actually not much to talk about. So I'm just about to talk about the VoIP requirements, then fixed line and mobile. If you provide VoIP services with access to the PSTN, you have to provide 999. If you do click-to-call services, which are purely web-based, you don't. And people like Skype don't, because theirs is a IP to IP, and you pay for the PSTN breakout, which is an add-on service, and Ofcom don't think that means you need to provide 999. But if you Skype don't have to provide 999. I phoned them up and said I can't dial 999 from my Skype phone, and they said, so what? I even went through, escalated it, and they said it's a premium service. You're not you're the basic service is a purely VoIP services, VoIP to VoIP. It doesn't need to do 999. If you do provide 999 services, you have to provide an address. So when you go through to the emergency services, which will either be directly or via another provider, that call must provide an address with the call. Since VoIP can be anywhere, Ofcom have said, we'd like you to provide an accurate address, but if you can't, provide a billing address. So that currently is the VoIP 999 requirements, which is if you think you know where they are, because that's where they've told you they are, provide that address. If not, provide a billing address. And it's best efforts. Because SIP doesn't contain the fields like SS7 provides certain fields, there are no standard fields to send to the emergency services. Ofcom have just said it's a best efforts. But they are looking at, and Peter Gradwell's been involved with this with various services where you can look up the IP address, and then from that trace it back to a circuit number, and then go and get the BT circuit number, and then you should get an address from the BT circuit number. But again, that's not been implemented yet. Fixed lines is much easier. It's basically a reverse line, a reverse lookup. Quite simple. The emergency services, you dial them. They do a reverse lookup on the number to the phone book, and it's reasonably simple. Any telecoms provider providing fixed line services generally has to provide those numbers that can go into the phone book, whether they're hidden or not. BT get them, and then the BT provide that to emergency services. And most people directly or indirectly connect through BT into the emergency services. If you're big enough, you can get a direct link into them, and then you have to provide your own number lookups. Mobile services, that is much more interesting, because when you dial the emergency services there, the SS7 call takes a cell ID as well, and the cell ID is matched to get a rough location, but then the emergency services actually do a reverse lookup and get a real-time location. And so if you make a call to emergency services on your phone, they know pretty well where you are. If you've ever used Google Maps with cell ID or the cell location, it's reasonably accurate, and that's what the emergency services get. And it's tracked in real time, so as you're moving around, they know where you are. So if you're going faster than 70 miles an hour on a motorway, they can probably tell that as well. And that's really where the state is at the moment. Hi.
Can you hear me? Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. A couple of questions on that. The fixed line stuff you're saying just does a reverse lookup. What about situations where you have a corporate VoIP server running out to employee houses or whatever at the other end of the country?
If you look at the spec for doing business DDI lines, it is where they come from the switchboard. You don't have to provide lookup services beyond that.
I know, but does the business that's running that as a VoIP provider for their employees,
no,
for example?
it will be the telecoms provider. The VoIP.
What makes them not a telco is what I'm saying. What is the loophole that gets the business out of the requirement to provide?
Because they're not a PATS provider as far as Ofcom defined a PATS provider.
Okay, it's a distinct line. I'm very interested in the Skype one. We've got some VoIP stuff, and to be honest, we have yet to sort out the 999 stuff because the carriers we use still haven't sorted it out.
Yeah.
We've just made it a term of our condition that anyone running equipment must put the 999 pass through to the PSTN, and we've said at the handset 999 works. So we've not had an answer from Ofcom on that, but I'm interested in the Skype one. So if we charged our customers a premium for PSTN breakout, we'd be exempt.
It seemed.
Is there a URL for that?
If Ofcom said, because they are a VoIP to a PC to PC provider, that PSTN breakout is a value-add service, they do not need to provide VoIP.
So I just need to slightly change my terms and conditions to make our service
potentially.
the same.
I'm not a lawyer. You'd have to work out that with Ofcom.
Okay, and finally, this whole idea of providing the billing address, is it flagged as a billing address, or is it just
no?
Then that is more dangerous than having no address.
Absolutely, but that is at the moment the whole VoIP stuff is. We've mandated to do it. We don't really know how to do it. This is what we've come out with.
Hello.
It's another Ofcom thing saying we have to do something about it, and then realising everyone going, well, we can't do anything, but there's a regulation there that people have to comply with.
Hello, yes. Thomas Mang, Ignite Works. As I'm currently looking at deploying my own web service, I looked into this, and if I remember correctly, Ofcom started to say that Skype must provide 999.
Yep.
And Skype say, okay, force us. And then Ofcom say, you don't have to.
It's very difficult because Ofcom have stated that anyone providing service in the UK is bound by UK law. Therefore, in theory, they do have to provide it, but if Ofcom were to have to take them to court, they'd have to take them to court in Belgium, which is the registered address of Skype. And I don't think Ofcom have got the balls.
Okay, so only one more question. We're in danger of running behind
just
a bit
a quick
here.
point. I was going to say, is it just a case that Skype have got more expensive lawyers than Ofcom?
I'd say they've got reasonably expensive lawyers.
Okay, we can maybe do a little bit of discussion of that at the end, but we need to press on with the other presentations. So thank you, Steve.